going on. The courts also having their session, but we'll take you through some of those items today in the dailies. And here, joining us to take us through some of them, Nuruddin Abdallah, editor, 21st Century Chronicles, a former assistant editor of Daily Trust. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chamberlain. Good morning.
Okay, let's start off with Vanguard newspaper. Now, this was what transpired yesterday, so all over the place it is. Look at the lead story. Presidential poll, drama as LP factions clash at tribunal. So you get to see the first of the riders here. Lamidi Akwakwa, factional chairman attacked in court. Court adjourns petition till Friday. And then you say this, if not for God, I'd have died in court. That's correct, Papa. Denies receiving 500 million naira to scuttle Obi's case against Tinubu. NEC frustrating my petition against Tinubu. Okay, yeah. Oh, that's what we see here, though. And then you see insist on Rivers, Sokoto elections, interest, Obi, LP refused to pay one. There's just so much of these riders here associated with this lead story. And these are even the preliminary scenarios. You haven't even gotten to the meat of the matter. Well, does this surprise you in any way? You faced by all of this?
Yeah, not really. I think history seems to be repeating itself. If you remember in 2007, after President Muhammad Buhari, then General Muhammad Buhari retired, contested and lost election against Erdogan. You remember he went to court, just like Peter Obi of Labour Party did. But what happened later? His party, then led by later Ume Izueke, withdrew the petition from the Presidential Election Tribunal and joined the Erdogan unity government, you remember. So that's what happened. So at the end of the day, unlike what we saw yesterday, it was actually despicable. There was no such drama. But the party left the presidential candidate alone. At the end of the day, he lost out from the court. So it's usual for the winning party, to instigate all this crisis from behind the scene. Because what happened yesterday actually was horrible.
You think this is one of such cases from behind the scene?
Apparently, you understand. And look at what is even happening in states. Some factions of the opposition party are joining the winning party, even though the candidates are in court. So we saw this thing in 2007. Buhari was left in the corner, while Ume Izueke, some AP, then NPP governors, joined the unity government. I think this is we can see the hands of the ruling party from behind the scene instigating.
In other words, you think that we definitely haven't seen or heard the last of this matter?
Apparently.
Well, I guess we'll see. It's part of what we'll also focus on this morning as we proceed. And then beneath that lead story, Anambra, U.S. vows to fish out killers of embassy staff. Death toll rises to 10. No American killed. Ascribed to U.S. Buhari saddened by killings. And it's many didn't know what exactly to make of this when it did happen. A lot was hazy in terms of the scenario, what transpired, why, so many questions concerning this. Could it be the last of it? How did this happen in the first place? So many things. But what went through your mind when you got the story?
You see, on the build-up to the February-March general election, all these incidences, seems to have vanished with time. But unfortunately, they keep on recurring. Before even the embassy, something. Take Kaduna, for instance. The issue of mass kidnapping of worshippers, just reimagine. So what happened in Chiku local government? About 50 were kidnapped while observing church service. Birnungwari. Look at what is even happening in Niger. It seems that at the beginning, the military has succeeded, in tackling the... But is it because the military is now overstretched or is more concerned with the elections or what have you, that if you look at the banditry issue, going to Sokoto, Zamfara, Kaduna, Niger, and now even to the east, including Nassau here. You understand? So I think the security agencies need to up their ante.
But how much of this is about the security agencies and not about, say, the commander-in-chief? If you had a different commander-in-chief, for instance, who, I'm not saying this one hasn't, but if we hear and see on a regular basis saying, listen, insisting on certain things be done, up and about, hands-on, are we likely to have a different result?
Certainly, maybe when we have a new commander-in-chief and he selects the commanders, you can't be faster than the principal. That's the reality.
I see.
Apparently. So we hope that maybe by May 29.
But what does that mean, though? You can't be faster. You have a duty as a security officer, professional, well-trained. Are they supposed to be looking to him to make an arrest or something?
Not really. First and foremost, the people you have appointed as commanders, what is their competence and what is the criteria you use? Some of them are just mediocres. Some of them maybe they were even appointed for reasons other than merit and professionalism. So you can't expect, if it is not Panadol, it is not the same as Panadol. You can't give what you don't have. And you know, we saw it coming. Look at the array of the security, the head of the agencies. There are a lot of complaints, but the president and commander-in-chief doesn't see it the way Nigerians see it. He believes that maybe there are certain things that he considers apart from functionality.
Would you say that the people who surround him, his aides, do they have a role? Do they take part of the blame here as well?
Apparently, and unfortunately, you know, it's an open secret. I don't need to, they're just neophytes, you know. They add almost zero value to the governance, to what the president is doing. Look at them. Look at them.
Who precisely are you referring to? I'm just a little curious. Who are those you refer to as neophytes?
Maybe without mentioning names. Okay, with the demise of Abakari, the chief of staff, look at what is happening in the villa. They're infighting alone. Is it the wife of the president, the nephew of the president? You look at it. So it simply means that nobody seems to be in charge. So it's apparent, you know. We hope that, you know, in the next 2 weeks...
Those are not the people that have been appointed. Those are people that are his family members. I mean, oftentimes you cannot select who your family members are, can you? Apart from, of course, the choice of your wife. But even then, if there are internal wranglings, internal family wranglings between a wife and your nephew, what really can you do about it?
The nephew holds a very sensitive political office. He's the personal assistant to the president. Some might even say de facto chief of staff. Okay. So you know what that means.
Okay, I want to take a look at Daily Trust now. It has a different kind of headline. It has this: federal government to replace striking doctors with ad hoc staff. There's a lead story here. Our demands must be met. Patients groan, activities grounded in hospitals. So it's the same as the second day of their 5-day warning strike. Federal government is saying it's going to employ ad hoc staff. What are your own thoughts on this latest strike action?
I think in the last 8 years, you know, the issue of resident doctors strike, you know, has not been handled, to my mind, very well by this administration. This is not the first time they are threatening them with this. You remember, we had a minister in Nigeria who said that some doctors will be better off as tailors. You remember? We had a minister in this government who said that some doctors will be better off as tailors.
That's so ridiculous.
So this is the thinking of somebody that has been appointed, you know, to look to administer the health matters of the country. What are the issues? Just let us do issue. What are the issues? Why can't you address them? But unfortunately, we have a labor minister who is equally a medical doctor, or can we say former, I don't know, a medical doctor, but very combative. He compounded matters. Interestingly,
the ANAD don't seem to be at loggerheads with him. Instead, they are at loggerheads with their own minister, the Minister of Health.
That's what I said. The other time, it was the same Minister of Health, a medical doctor, that said that his colleagues can be better off as tailors. He said that his tailor is a medical doctor. You can see how insulting that can be. It's a simple matter. I don't know. I hope the incoming president, will look at these things and don't allow all the mistakes by this administration. It's an industrial dispute. It can be resolved. You want 100 naira, I don't have 100 naira, I have 40, 50. Take it. It's as simple as that.
Let me take you up on this. This one is something that concerns well, not everyone, but at least those who have been through some higher institution, and it doesn't matter whether they go on to tailoring. We got jobs while serving. That's according to Pioneer Corps members. And Go On says, my aim of creating NYSC as National Youth Service Corps not defeated. And this is coming on the heels of the NYSC celebrating 50 years. It sparked conversation now as to whether or not it's a scheme that should continue. What are your thoughts on NYSC as a body? Are you proud of it? Do you think it's something that should continue, or we should reform it?
If you look at it, the scheme was created immediately after the Civil War.
Indeed.
To unite the country. Are we united 50 years after? But unfortunately, Nigeria, there are institutions, schemes that were on ad hoc basis, just like the NYSC. I think it has overstayed its usage. But unfortunately, with the 30K, coppers are now being paid, They look at it, some organizations use it as a sweet shop. They get cheap labor. And some of the coppers, there are no jobs. So they believe that 1 year they serve. Some are even cutting ways to repeat it because of the 30K. So that is it. But I think that the essence, the one, established this thing has overstayed its usage.
Did you serve?
Yeah.
Did you enjoy your service here?
Not really, because at that time, was it 7K or is it 11?
Was it the money you were looking at or the knowledge you gained?
Different stroke for different folks, I guess.
It was 7.
People concerned now about the money.
Oh dear. Let's go to Lagos. I'm sure my colleagues have all the papers for you.
In the conversation, Margaret, but the jury is out on whether the NYSC has truly helped united Nigeria 50 years down the line. But let's shift now to Leadership newspaper as we take a look at the big story. This is still coming on the back of the induction program for Nigerian governors. And take a look at this headline: Nigeria heading for debt crisis, governors warn. The riders go this way, say debt servicing taking 95% of revenue as PNB seeks reps approval for $800 million World Bank loan. Well, Mr. Abdallah, some would say that, weeks or days down to handover date, this administration is just waking up and putting up its robe of service. And the governors are also towing the same path, saying that, look, we're headed for a very bad place with debt. Why now?
It's most unfortunate, so to say, particularly if you pick the contending issue now of the $800 million loan from the World Bank. The Buhari administration is saying that it will serve as a palliative for when eventually a subsidy is removed. But since the federal government is not removing subsidy, why can't you allow the incoming administration to remove subsidy and to source it its own palliative? Why are you spending the palliative now while the subsidy is still there?
Well,
again,
Mr. Abdallah,
maybe the
spending of palliatives has not begun yet. If you listen to the rider, it says PNB seeks reps approval for the $800 million World Bank loan. So it is still at the pre-approval stage if we went by this headline.
Yes, that's what we are saying. Why the rush? Let him remove the subsidy first, but he's shifting the subsidy, which is the most the thorniest issue to the next incoming government while getting loan for the palliatives. Why? He's putting the cart before the horse. And secondly, unfortunately, during the Obasanjo era, there were amendments. Before Obasanjo came, local government chairman equally get even foreign loans. But there are amendments. Every state government must have to come through the National Assembly to get their loans, particularly foreign loan, approved. But now, who will checkmate them? The federal government that should checkmate the state governors in terms of foreign loan, is the chief debtor. He gets all the loans from whoever is willing to give. And at the end of the day, look at some of the states. They get the loans. Ask, where are the projects? None. Or the loans obtained by these state governors, there are no projects worth 1/3 of the money. So it's the same thing with the federal government. And it's a source of concern. Look at the books by
Mr. Abdallah,
the DMO has...
You make a point that cannot be ignored about, both federal and states being guilty of, foreign loans. But if the governors speak in one voice where debt is concerned now, do you think that their unity of purpose will be strong enough to prevail on the federal government of the incoming administration to take a more prudent action where revenue expenditure is concerned?
Yes, I think we hope that the incoming administration, is more, the president is more economically literate compared to the one we have now. And I hope he will look that way. Increase the revenue base of the country and ensure that the governors equally increase their revenue, the IGR base. Take some of the states now. There are a series of bailouts by the federal government. But some of the states, despite this series of bailouts by the federal government, they are still owing even salaries, pensions, not to talk of capital projects. Or whenever they even get the monies, they invest, they share it. Instead of investing the money in capital projects that will bring money, no, they share them. So we hope the incoming administration, will put a stop to this.
Yeah, quite instructive there. Quite instructive there. Yeah. We hope that they'll take a cue from some of the points that you have made. Let's leave it there for Leadership Newspaper now.
And turn our attention to the Nigerian Tribune with this lead story. U.S. Secretary of State Tinubu in 20-minute phone call. Atiku expresses disbelief. There's a host of riders. You see, Blinken advises on inclusive leadership, stresses U.S.-Nigeria partnership. Tinubu wants assistance on security, economic investment. And then there's a statement or response from the PDP presidential candidate saying this is inconceivable, a contradiction to give legitimacy to widely acknowledged fraudulent election, demoralizing to citizens. Well, the U.S. Secretary of State, or at least the Department of State, has put up a statement to that effect about the phone call. But what do you make about this debate around the phone call, whether or not it legitimizes the election when the cases are in court? What's your take on it?
So I don't know what the opposition parties are crying about. It's just a phone call. By our laws, Asuaji Tinubu is the president-elect until the courts decide otherwise. So I see no reason why the United States government or the Secretary of State Blinken will look at what he did as something abnormal. So let the court decide. They are in court, actually. So let's see what happens. And again, Tinubu is taking over a government in the next 2 weeks or so. So he needs all the support, particularly of the Western powers, in tackling insecurity. And look at it, the phone call came at the same time some United States consular staff were killed in Anambra. The president-elect must be worried. This is the first time that such things happen. If it were in the northeast or north central or northwest, it's understandable. But in the southeast, the insecurity is expanding its frontiers, you understand? So it should be of issue of concern to the president-elect. I see no reason why Atiku or whoever should be worried. If the court decide otherwise, the Americans and whoever, they have to know who to deal with.
Right.
So I think it's as clear as that.
Well, there's this other story on health on the front page, just to mention 25,380 Nigeria's PHCs lack required skilled birth attendants. That's credited to the NPHCDA. So if we have just about 30,000 primary healthcare centers and over 25,000 of them lack required skilled birth attendants, that's what, over 80%. That's quite shocking. So it's just to mention for the appropriate authorities. And the statement you made about the Minister of Health, I think you were referring to the former Minister of Health, not the current Minister of Health, the conversation around the Taylor and all of that. It was a former, not the current, just in case people are wondering. But that's the Nigerian Tribune for you. Chemelin.
All right, let's take a look at the Guardian next. That's the next one we've got here. Battle in states as 18 ministers lobby Tinubu to retain portfolio. Dear, you thought that, wait a minute, they want to sit tight? But wait, let me even get your opinion first. Just go ahead and see. What do you think of this one this time?
So I think the president election is a mistake to populate the cabinet with former governors who have thoroughly failed to deliver good governance in their various states.
Former governors?
Who have thoroughly failed to deliver good governance in their various states.
Oh.
Yes. Take the Buhari government, for instance. We have a minister who was a former minister now because he resigned to contest the presidential election. He was Speaker of his State Assembly for 8 years. He was governor for 8 years. He was minister for 8 years. Are you the only Nigerian? Or some governors in the State Assembly now, in the National Assembly now, they were governors. I know someone who was deputy governor for 8 years, governor for 8 years, and now he has won the 4th Senate.
No, they didn't choose themselves.
What it means simply is this. What have they done in their various states that they want to remain put? Some they have converted the National Assembly as if it is a traditional stool. So I hope it will be a mistake to bring former governors. Maybe you can pick 1, 2, or 3, and based on their track record back in their states.
No, these are the current ministers. 18 ministers lobby to retain their portfolio. So all the 7 ministers want to make sure they
That would be the grave mistake that will happen.
So they should just, after the valedictory FEC, they should just go home from there. That's enough.
Okay, to be fair to them, some of them, maybe just less than 10%. Or let's do this even analysis. Let everybody go back to his constituency and do a small election. Let there be a referendum. Do you want him to go back to Abuja or not? Majority of them will not be voted.
But what if there are 1 or 2 performing ministers and the president-elect or president when he's sworn in says, okay, you know what, you all elected me. Let me do this. Trust my judgment. I want to pick 1, 2, or 3 to do this job with me.
Like the minister of Abuja or power.
I don't know. You suggest. It's up to you to suggest.
There are certain ministers, even bringing them to the federal cabinet is a mistake. Let's not repeat it. There are 1 or 2, actually, that perform. I don't want to mention names, but we know them. And we know those that when we see them on the street, they need to be flogged for wasting our time.
No, let's not instigate the mob against anyone. But take a look quickly now at New Telegraph, and they have this NAS leadership crisis. APC moves to break G6 opposition alliance. So that's a lead story on the New Telegraph now. Opts for open contests to brief Tinubu governors, Wasi, Betara, Jaji, others close in on consensus. So you see it right there, focusing on the leadership crisis. or will I say the leadership contest? Because some people will say it's not yet a crisis within the APC. But let us see what I think you've already commented on that. So let's take a look at this request, which is also making the headlines here. Presidential Tribunal, Tinubu opposes live coverage of proceedings. What are your thoughts on live coverage?
I don't know
of
why
the proceedings in court.
The winning party, the APC, is against it. Let it be. Maybe if there were live coverage, what the drama that happened yesterday, maybe that's what they are avoiding. We will see more dramas.
But this is not the substance of the matter. It doesn't even affect their own case per se. This is just something on the side.
Yeah, maybe.
The judges will decide what they decide.
Exactly. So I don't know why the APC is against it. Let it be. You have won election. You believe that you won. Let Nigerians see the judges, see your lawyers arguing for and against. You understand? So that by the time it's televised live, if it is confirmed or otherwise, Nigerians will. So I don't think it should be an issue. Understand? It shouldn't be an issue. Maybe thankfully the judges will decide whether they want to see their faces or not.
No, but I think at some point, for some cases, cameras were allowed, but they were backing
the judges.
So who knows what type they will allow.
But mostly during when they are delivering the final judgment.
Okay, so at that point,
maybe long hours, very monotonous thing. But maybe they want to see the drama. They want to see whose lawyer is vocal, which one has points.
So it'll become a TV drama of sorts.
Apparently,
it'll be a good series. Not bad.
Well, let's leave it there for New Telegraph.
Okay, I guess that wraps it up then. With a look at some of the dailies here this morning. Nuruddin Abdallah, editor, 21st Century Chronicle, and former assistant editor of the Daily Trust. Thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you, Mr. Chamberlain. Thank you, Madam Magwe.
All right, we're back in a moment. Stay with us.
It's been 1 week since the last sitting of the Presidential Election Petition Court. At the resumption on May 17, the Labour Party members could not agree on who should represent the party in the courtroom. And while that was going on, the rest of the courtroom was filing out to wait for the commencement of the day's proceedings. The five-man panel of justices arrived and promptly refused to record appearances for the acting national chairman, Lamidi Apapa, as well as the national women's leader of the party, Dudu Manugu, when the petition was called today. Justice Haruna Samani noted that if two persons are making an appearance for the party, they will not be put on record. When it was time to make their submissions, all the parties involved in the suit told the court that a scheduled meeting meant to streamline their documents for expeditious hearing before the court ended in a deadlock. Counsel to the Labour Party and Peter Obi, Levi Uzuaku, informed the court that INEC only availed them 30% of the documents required from them. He adds that the party is yet to get documents with respect to Rivers State, and the Resident Electoral Commissioner says there are no EC8A forms available to be given. Counsel to INEC, Abubakar Mahmood, however, claims the representatives of the Labour Party did not show up for the meeting as agreed and also walked out of the rescheduled meeting. Mr. Mahmood adds that the documents for Rivers and Sokoto states were provided, but the Labour Party refused to pay the sum of 1.5 million naira for Sokoto state, and the form EC8A for Rivers state was not given to them. Counsel to Tinubu, Wale Olanipekun, and the counsel to the APC, Lateef Fagbemi, assured the court that they're ready to cooperate with the court.
The amount is far from being legit. So I believe I've said it all. But what is important is that now that INEC has a lead counsel, I believe that something good may come out of a chat that I'm supposed to have with him today. Because until now, if you ask me, and I say it with every degree of emphasis, that INEC sees itself as a candidate in an election that it conducted. No other party is complaining about not getting any documents. You should ask the question, why is it so? Because they have been provided with documents, except the petitioners.
The main highlight of the day's pre-hearing was the fight for supremacy involving the Lamidi Apapa-led group and the Julius Abure camp. Lamidi Apapa had to be whisked away by security operatives when a group supposedly loyal to Abure camp confronted him, describing him as an impostor. As the court adjourns to May 19, the altercation between the two camps in Labour Party continues. Emanuela Ekele, Channels Television News.
Welcome back to Sunrise Daily. Well, yes, indeed. We're taking a look at some of those scenarios that transpired yesterday. We've got Mr. Lamidi Apapa joining us here this morning, the acting national chairman of the Labour Party. Good morning. Thank you for coming on today.
Good morning. Thank you so much.
Well, what a scenario it was yesterday. And yes, there's been a lot of talk about what transpired, what this means, why this happened, what's the implication. But first, could you tell us what actually happened?
Well, yesterday I decided to go to the tribunal. Yes, to assert my authority as the acting national chairman of the party. And then when I got there, there was a seat provided for the chairman of the party. I moved down to see Mr. Osuntokun, and I asked him that since I'm around here, you're not supposed to be here, that seat is supposed to be for the chairman of the party.
Was it labeled?
No, it was not labeled. It was designed. It was designed. You see the group there. The group were there.
Was it the only one sitting on all?
All of them that sat on the chairs there, they were all from Labour Party.
Okay.
But it was the only person acting as somebody representing the party. But what he said was that, why are you asking me? Who are you? Mr. Osuntokun, you don't know me. Say, I don't know you. Who are you? You don't know me. That was how the whole thing started. I saw him when he was talking here yesterday that he doesn't know me, just like what Peter Obi said. That he doesn't. In fact, I was surprised that he said that. When he took over from the former doctor there, who was there, Okupe, we had a meeting at Iperu when Okupe was with us. And I was there as the most senior officer from the zone. He came there, he was the person in charge of the Western Zone then. That's Mr. Oshunko, in charge of campaign. He met me there. Dr. Okubo introduced me, said he had been hearing of me for a very long time. Here I'm live. He was sitting by my side. And surprisingly, he said he has never seen me too. He said it yesterday. Not like what Peter Obi said. Well,
so was that the only seat available?
That was not. No, in fact, it was settled later. Okay. It was settled later. When people now said, "Don't worry, you can sit anywhere," and during the time of recognition, all of you will now recognize you speak, and the court will recognize you, and that was all.
Why were you being whisked away by the police?
No, I'm coming to that level. That was a pre-court process. That time, the court has not started at the beginning. That was the beginning. So where we all sat, myself and my team, we sat somewhere. Then when the court started, during introductions, the woman leader stood up and said she was representing Labour Party. I said, no, I objected to it. I raised up my hand and I told the judge that I'm here, anywhere I am. Once I'm there, whoever that is there is a junior officer to me as far as the party is concerned. I said, I am the acting national chairman here. Then the judge said, since we have argument over who represents the party, that she's not going to recognize any of the bodies as of today. Then we're all sitting. Now, after the close of the program, I was moving out. These boys came. They are from Aburi, because Aburi and Peter Obi, they confronted me that they won't allow me to speak to the press. I said, why?
Yes, that's
yesterday. That they won't allow me to speak to the press. I say, I have the right to speak to this press. It was during that argument that they began to push me. They were pushing me, they removed my cap, they were shouting thief. Until police came to my rescue, and I was taken to the police station for some time before we used their car to take me out of the premises. It was a very bad day. If not with the pressmen that were around, I would have been dead. They tried to lynch me, and I know it's
in the court premises.
In the court premises. They wanted to lynch me. And that's the handover of Aburi and Peter Obi. He organized it.
So obviously, I mean, you're in court. I mean, the reason why you have emerged acting
national chairman of the party
is because there is a big dispute in court, yes, over the chairmanship of the party, and it doesn't appear that the other members of the party recognize you as the chairman or acting chairman of the party. Not that they don't know you. I mean, I imagine that they've seen you before. Maybe they have even interacted with you. But that position is currently in contention. So when you went to court yesterday, was this something that you envisaged could happen?
Well, as a human being, you don't expect things to go all the time the way you plan it. What I was told, there was a pre-court meeting between my people and Obi Group. And when they came, they said in that meeting, there was argument over who will lead the party. When they came, who will lead the team. And my people insisted that anywhere I am and the party has a program, I should lead.
Who are your people?
No, I'm talking about Maesco. They went to see Obi Group. And those who went, Arabambi was there, Daramola was there, Engineer Mike was there. So when they came back, they said what happened was that Obi insisted that he would not recognize me to be the acting chairman of the party. And in court, he would not recognize me. That was the beginning of the argument. The night said, who will now be there? If Aburi will not be there, because he has been asked to step aside, who else will be there? But as far as the party is concerned, I'm the next person to Aburi. This argument was so hot, they came back to my hotel when it was a few minutes after 1 a.m. That's when they came. And they say one of them said that if I should be there to that yesterday, then they will deal with me. And I thought it was a joke, and they have done it.
Who said so?
No, Arababi confirmed this to me. And Daramola was there, Engineer Michael Outer. So the man who said it, I want him to say it by himself.
Okay, because you made allegation saying that Mr. Aburi and Peter Obi were the ones who organized to...
Yes. You know why I said that?
How do you substantiate?
You know why I said that? It was a confirmation of what they said previously. What they said, Peter Obi insisted that he would not recognize him to be the national chairman of the party.
Does that then mean that...
No. And if I should be in court yesterday, I will be dealt with. They will say it. They were there. It's not. He
told you that?
I mean, the people who went there told me this.
So this is third-party information.
I'm just telling you. I'm not saying directly he told me, but I'm quoting them. This is what they said, and it was actually executed. So it was executed.
Obviously, all is not well within your party, and it would seem that the major bone of contention that they have right now is recognizing you as chairman.
Yes.
Why is it so important to you that you be recognized as chairman?
I'm not calling myself chairman. I said acting national chairman. I've never said I'm the national chairman. But if Aburi has stepped aside, I'm the next person in hierarchy. No other person should occupy the place except myself.
Yeah, but given the contention that it is causing, the bad blood it is causing, the divisions it's causing, the distrust, because the major bone of contention right now is that they do not trust that you will continue this case in court. They do not trust that you are going to continue with the mandate, that Mr. Peter Obi is seeking in court. There are a lot of trust issues around your continuing to be acting national chairman of the party. If there is a trust deficit, isn't it in the best interest of your party that you step aside and say, you know what, if this is the situation, then maybe somebody else should take over?
Let me tell you, there's nothing like distrust. There's nothing like distrust. This is our project. It is Labour Party project. Obi is our project. And nobody should deviate from that project. Whether I am there, whether somebody else is there, that project must be executed by all of us. So for you now, if there is any deficit in terms of trust, that cannot be referred to me. I want Obi to say it to the whole world. Why is he behaving the way he's behaving to me? I have never done anything bad to him.
So why are they accusing you then of trying to withdraw the case or stall the case?
If you are accusing somebody, is it possible for somebody to withdraw a case with the word of mouth? You must have put it in writing, and I've told the whole world, if you have any evidence to prove that I have done this, I've done that, bring it to the whole world to see. They have not done that. It's nothing but blackmailing.
So you say that Obi is our project. That's what you say.
Yes, I believe in it.
Yet this same Mr. Peter Obi obviously does not recognize you as chairman.
He doesn't.
So if that is the situation...
I will not say that openly, that he doesn't. Because he's bound to recognize me. He is banned. He's not the owner of the party. He met me in the party. I've stayed in the party for 21 years. Obi is less than 1 year in the party. I'm not going to appeal for him to recognize me. He's bound to recognize me. The party belongs to Nigerians. It doesn't belong to a particular tribe. He is bound to recognize me.
Yeah, but if this is a situation that you have found yourself, isn't it in the best interest, in the overall interest of the party, and perhaps at least for the duration of this election petition court hearing, that you step aside and maybe let somebody else whom everybody can trust to be the acting. After all, it is an internal party affair, and if this is based on trust, then you let the person whom everybody can trust take over.
I will interpret the word everybody can trust. If I am bound to be trusted, if I've been there, I've never been found wanting for the past 21 years. If he should be here now, he's the person that should be checked. If you are in the party just less than a year, and you destroy somebody who has been there for the past 21 years, who is deceiving who? He should be checked.
I mean, because when you say some of the key leaders don't recognize you or say they don't want your presence, you say Mr. Obi doesn't, Mr. Shizokun doesn't, Mr. Abure doesn't, several people don't. So
not several. These are the people, not several.
The key people.
No, when you use the word key people, I don't want to say this in the open. Now, Obi is a Christian. Abure is a Christian. Shizokun is a Christian. I'm the only person that's a Muslim among them.
What has that got to do with?
No, it has got to do with it. Because if he doesn't believe that, this is the way he operates.
How?
Now, even during the campaign process, during the campaign issue, during our campaign, the list of committee there was over 1,000. How many people operated it?
But
less than 10.
But we also understand that none of the state chairmen recognize you.
Don't say that. Don't say that.
Why shouldn't he say that? There was
no. Why I use that way. I'm not condemning that word. I'm only trying to explain why it must not be so. Now, before at the beginning of this crisis, Abure invited state chairman to Benin for solidarity. It was at that meeting that this court, Abuja court injunction came up. And immediately he gave them a charter plane to come down to Abuja. Not only for them, he didn't actually know what happened. They gave him that recognition at the headquarters. And you know today, some people worship money. But what I'm saying now, I am not against Abure's position. I am against the compliance with the court order. I'm not after his position. That's why I keep on saying acting appointment. What I'm saying is that he can still come back to the position if he's able to clear his case. But for anybody to sit on that seat and disobey court order, I won't tolerate it.
Did the court expressly say that you have to be the one to sit there?
No, it doesn't. The court says one of the deputies will take over.
Exactly.
No, I'm just telling you. I want to tell you the scenario. Now, when this thing happened, a National Working Committee meeting was held where I was elected. Then, secondly, the other two deputies at the Akwanga Convention, that is democratic. At the Akwanga Convention, we have Late Absalam as the chairman, myself, the next person, and we have one lady, Lebeka. We just have two deputies that were democratically elected at that convention. Lebeka has left. I am the only one that is democratically elected. The other two deputies were platform deputies. That is from the NSC and TUC. And these are people that are recommended to the party. They are not elected. They can be withdrawn by their platform at any time. I am the only one left as the democratically elected deputy.
But even the people who brought this report who are brought or nominated by the labor unions,
yes.
The labor unions too say, we don't recognize you. That's what the NLC has said.
That they don't recognize
They don't recognize you. That's what they have said. The state party chairman, you said they were misled. They don't recognize you. If everybody is saying, we don't recognize you, the law did not expressly say that you should sit in that seat. You said the law said one of the deputies should sit there. It didn't say you. So if that is the situation that you have at hand, Mr. Akpakwa, I'm wondering, why is it compulsory? Why throw your party into this level of turmoil?
Let me clear that point. In Labour Party constitution, what it says that a National Working Committee meeting will be held, and that National Work Committee has a right to view vacancies that occur within a period before the next meeting. And if you have this type of scenario, you cannot wait for 6 months before you occupy the position of a vacant position of the national chairman. And in that constitution, it does not even say that I should consult. Okay. No consulting in that constitution. I wish I have the consent with you. You will see that it does not say, it says in absence of the national chairman, the deputy will take over in acting capacity. I've not done anything beyond that.
Let's bring in our colleagues in Lagos.
Thank you.
Well, it would seem like, this situation was inevitable from the onset because of a myriad of reasons. Besides the state chairman refusing to recognize your claim to being the leader of the party, the NLC also threw its weight behind the Aburi faction of the party. And, just to also add to that, prior to this time, after a court order was issued, supporting you, so to speak, reports were to the effect that you demanded that the lawyers should brief you, having decided to take over your claim to being the leader of the party. But the lawyer to your presidential candidate also refused to recognize you. So my question, it will be, as a result, why go to the court in the first place when, all of these challenges, are still bedeviling your party?
Well, I would not regard it as a challenge per se. My going to court is to assert the authority of the chairman. And that is actually what I have done.
Is it true? Is it true that Mr. Levi Uzoku refused to deal with you, refused to recognize you, and in fact refused to provide you with updates as you requested on the case?
Now, well, the issue of whether recognizing me or not, you have to report to the principal. The man that paid the lawyers, I know, is Peter Obi, and they must be answerable to him. But it's also the duty of whoever is in charge of the party to say, I want to be briefed. I have the right to be briefed. Then the issue of NSC recognizing Aburi, we are recognizing somebody that has forged documents. I've never seen a country like Nigeria. Somebody who forged documents and is not being recorded. He's still parading himself. In what type of society are we running? I am not saying I'm not after a position. Step aside. When you step aside, somebody must take over. Elected, somebody that's democratically elected should take over, not somebody. The platform of NSA until you see that they are saying they recognize Aburi. NSA has its own constitution. Labour Party has its own constitution. You cannot combine both. NSC's constitution cannot override Labour Party constitution. It is not the same.
But Mr. Akpakpa, the NLC has approached the court asking it to interpret the two conflicting court orders on the claim to leadership of your party. Why not wait for the court to determine that matter instead of continuing to seek recognition, which appears to be a losing battle for you?
It's not a losing battle until that order is determined. As of today, we mustn't have a vacuum. No vacuum in any system. As of today, I'm the only person who has the right to be there. If tomorrow there's another order that say don't do that again, I will leave. I'm not so interested in forcing myself to anybody or forcing myself on the party. If there's another from the court tomorrow say Aburi is free, I go back to my office as Deputy National Chairman. Nothing more, nothing less.
So you plan to remain in the Labour Party, but I'd like you to speak to this point that has been raised time and again. In fact, someone earlier said it on the program, saying that it looks like behind the scenes this is the hand of the APC, and I'd like you to speak to your affiliations or otherwise to the APC or members, people in the APC, to the extent that it was said that you were paid. I think you have spoken to that. But regarding the question about your affiliations, whether or not you're acting a script written by the APC, is that true?
That's not correct. I've said several times here, anybody who has an evidence to prove should bring it for the whole world to see. It's all blackmailing.
So why then is this statement, was this statement released that while that issue was playing out in court, that some people in your faction actually went to a court in Kano seeking to upturn the victories of the Labour Party in this election? Are you aware of that?
It is a Buri group that went to Kano. And what they went for was to restrict us from operating the account of the party. Unfortunately, we got wind of it, and we tackled it immediately.
Well, Mr. Akpakpa, just one more.
Yes,
I hate to put you on the spot, but you know, other key leaders who choose not to recognize you are also demanding that you also you know, present your claim to being a key member of the party, other than the fact that you led the opening prayer at the presidential primaries for your presidential candidate in Delta State last year. Well, prayer is good, but what are your other works, you know, that you can lay claim to?
Thank you very much. Well, I've said it before. Apart from the prayers that I did in Asaba, which I know I succeeded at least 80% of what I said in that prayer. The Labour Party has not been finding so good. And look at the outcome today. If you people say that prayer doesn't work, I will say another one in contrary. But let me go further to the other thing, that what have I done after the prayers? I said it here, that during Obi's campaign, the one he did in Edo, I was there. And after the campaign there, I was in his aircraft from that place to Abuja. Then beyond that, the one he did in Ekiti, I was with him at Afebala campus. I led the team that hosted him. I led the team that hosted him at a way of Ado Ekiti. I led the team that welcome me at Ondo. Well, Mr. The one that welcome him at Oshogbo. Yes, please.
Pardon me to quickly make this point, because at the NEC meeting, which the Labour Party held in Asaba, April the 18th now, you were suspended as well as others. And they asked that, so what powers are you operating with the NWC members or the NEC? Do you have the backing of the NEC? Because for them, you are suspended.
Let me tell you this. That NEC in Asaba was an illegal one. And I keep on saying it was an illegal NEC meeting.
So do you have the backing of the party's NEC?
You asked me a question, and I must respond to it. If a NEC meeting was conducted by an officer that had been asked to step aside, it's an illegal one. Aburi led that, conveyed that meeting. He supervised it. This is a man that has been asked to not to parade himself as from April 5. He conducted it. Whatever he is doing at that period was an illegal one.
All right.
And that was why our own NEC meeting in Bauchi, which I organized, I pronounced it there with the support of the NEC members there, that we also pardon our principal.
So there are two NEC meetings?
Yes.
So as we wind down, did you vote in that election, the last election?
Yes, I voted.
Where did you vote?
I voted in Ibadan.
The Labour Party, who did you vote for?
I voted for Obi.
Did he win in your polling unit?
Yes, he won.
Your ward?
In Ibadan here. You may not know the place, but at Ebrizeri. That's my word.
How do you know? I don't know the place.
So I voted. Okay. Ask anybody. And my unit.
Are you
the way I campaign for Obi?
Yeah.
May God reward me.
So, since are you going to go back to court again if by the next hearing?
I intend to go.
But the court, you said it yourself that the judge says, well, since there's disputes, they won't recognize any one of you. Why would you still go?
That's on that day. Maybe by the next one, I can be recognized.
If it happens again, they may not recognize anyone.
I will go back.
All right. Thank you for coming on, Lamidi Akpakpa, is acting national chairman of the Labour Party. We will be back in a moment.
I'm very grateful.
Stay with us. All right.
The Right Honourable Aminu Sani Jaji of Kauranamuda/Birni Magaji Federal Constituency of Zamfara State invites all members-elect of the 10th House of Representatives and stakeholders to the official declaration and unveiling of his 6-point agenda towards propelling the National Assembly to legislative excellence. Date Thursday, 18th May 2023. Venue Kano Hall, Transcorp Hilton, Abuja. Time 4 p.m. prompt. Announcer Honourable Prince Olaide Akinremi Jagaban.
The Duchess International Hospital opened its doors in October 2021. The mission of the hospital is to reverse medical tourism. We take particular care here at the Duchess to bring together a combination of the brightest and the best locally, as well as Nigerians in the diaspora who are interested in returning to do very good work for the benefit of our patients here in this country.
The good thing is that we have all international expertise here, all international facilities here, international people working here. Everything is coming together in a space which was considered not great in terms of the availability of healthcare.
Access Bank, of course, has been able to provide us with a robust range of products and services that has enabled us to deliver that standard and quality of healthcare that is integral to our mission as an organization.
Heartburn and indigestion? Try Gestede. My recommendation for the past 26 years, Gestede. Reliable remedy for heartburn, indigestion, flatulence, and acidity.
Welcome back to Sunrise Daily. Mr. Yunus Atanko joins us next. He is the chief spokesperson of the Labour Party. Good morning, and thank you for coming on Labour Party PCC. Now, this scenario that occurred yesterday, we've heard from Mr. Lamidi, his account of what transpired. So, from your perspective, tell us, what is your account of what transpired? Can you hear me, Mr. Tanko? Okay, so we'll try that connection again. Seems to have frozen images right there. So, okay, Mr. Tanko, I think it's a little better now. So, did you hear what can you hear me anyways? Okay, I think you may need to unmute.
Oh, hello?
Yes, we can hear you now. Oh, did you get the question?
Yes, I said good morning, Nigerians, and good morning to you in the studio.
Good morning, thank you. So tell us, I mean, we've heard Mr. Akpakpa saying that Mr. Peter Obi, Mr. Abure, Mr. Oshutokun seem to be conspiring against his carrying out his function as the acting national chairman of the Labour Party, which he says was what played out in the court premises yesterday.
Quickly, let me just explain that what Mr. Apapa is trying to do is just to have a coup d'etat against the will and the interests of the Nigerian people, especially that of the Labour Party. And I will explain. I was able to get the last statement that he was making as regard to issue of proof of whether he was playing a script or not playing a script. I have right in my hand here the document, the originating summon of the fourth originating summon that was already sent by this own led group. The originating summon actually had number one, who is saying that whether the first suspension of the first defendant by the communique dated 31st March claimed the Ward Executive Council, Ward 3, Erue, Esan North, East Local Government Area of Edo State. And this referred to the ward in which the national chairman of the party actually comes from. And I refer you to Section 7, Article 17 of the Labour Party, which says that the chairman of the party cannot be removed from office except for a national convention being called specifically for that particular purpose. And it may also interest you to know that this particular originating summon was actually being led by a learned counsel named by Chief Ogu James Onoja. Chief Ogu James Onoja. Chief Joku Onoja is a son, and is the one that represents them, if you remember, at the court. And then secondly, I have another document of the petition at the Presidential Campaign Tribunal holding in Abuja. And interestingly, guess what? The same person who was the lead counsel of this particular group, his name appeared on number 16 of that particular court case. His name is here, Chief Ogu Onoja's son. And yesterday at the court, this same, the lead counsel of the APC actually called his name to be on that particular, to announce his presence in court. Unfortunately, he didn't know. The man was not even in the court. But at the first beginning of the court case at the tribunal, this same son was there. This is just to show you that this same one person is the representative and a lawyer of the APC. And so therefore, he came in and represented the same lawyer for Apapa of the originating summon. So this clearly shows you a proof of that they are being sponsored by the APC to cause havoc within the party. And I say it with clear intention. This same leadership of
Mr. Sanko, is your point, are you making a point, are you trying to make a point that a lawyer cannot get different briefs at different times and go with them?
Not with a contradictory position when you are leading to show that you are independent of a court matter. Yes, you can be independent, you can play this, you can play that, but not with the consistency of showing that you belong to the APC. This particular whole matter that we are saying that they are being paid. Where did they work that they can even afford to pay a son to lead this particular thing? That is the question. Wow. So therefore, what is said that where is the proof? This is a proof.
Okay, so I haven't seen those documents, so I cannot independently verify them at the moment.
I will graciously give you this document in your office. I can mail it to you. It's a proof. He asked for a proof. I just gave you one.
So wait, are you responding
to that we are Democrats?
Wait, well, what part of the allegation are you responding to? Where Mr. Akpakpa was saying that what? If anybody has proof that he's an agent of somebody else or something?
Exactly. That is one. So, then two, to show that we are Democrats, even in a point of war, when you go to war and you fought, you killed each other, what you come back to is a dialogue discussion table. 2 days or 3 days ago, we've been having some discussion with some of the leaders of this particular coup d'etat individuals. And then we sat down, we agreed that there will not be any attempt again to affect the tribunal in the court. That is the OB-30 presidential petition that was sent into the court. We all agreed that there should not be any amount of any altercation. At that point, the day before yesterday, we all agreed that the principle that we believe that he said he believed in would choose who will represent the party. They later on insisted that it will be a papa and they are coming to court. That also shows you that they are not interested in protecting the petition of Peter Obi, and they did come to court. And when they came to court, after agreeing, that's to tell you they were renegated on the agreement. If he is truly interested in emancipating the Nigerian people, he wouldn't have come to court and insisted. He met Akin Oshitokun seated. He met other leaders of the campaign council and the party seated. I have videos to tell you, to show you that he approached them to unseat them on where they are seated. Does that show you that somebody who is ready for a peace? No. They came with intention of causing drama at the court. And what you saw was the response of the Nigerian people. Aki Oshitoku did not even make a single word. He just kept quiet.
You know, he also said, Mr. Akpapa also said that he has consistently said, as a matter of fact, even on the show here today, that he's been a member and still a member of the party for 21 years. And the court says, look, he, in this case, one of the deputies should take over, in this case being him, according to your constitution of the party, which is what he's laying claim to. He also further says that, look, if there is a court decision saying he should leave that position, not in an acting capacity any longer, he will go back, and there's nothing else to it. Those are his perspectives.
There was not even any court decision that pronounced him as a chairman. So not even a court will now tell him not to be acting the script in which he's acting. You cannot put something on nothing. There was no any single court decision that pronounced him as one. Let them prove the case that you are pronounced. The court decision said that Abure should step aside, and so, if he is found wanting, they will now take a decision on his own matter.
So who acts?
They didn't pronounce Apapa as the chairman.
Who acts?
He confirmed
since
that
he steps
here.
aside.
Come again?
Who was the right person to act since Abure has been told to step aside?
That will be the decision of the National Working Committee, not Apapa. What they did was that they organized themselves without really listening to the crop of the leadership of the party. The leadership of the party will meet and then decide who will be. And in any case, there are two courts of competent jurisdiction that have this particular matter. The first one in Benin, I read the first request to you, or the originating summon. It hinges its request on the fact that the ward suspended Abure. This particular court in Abuja, that is the first thing on the list of the originating summon. And then the same court in Benin has also exonerated Abure. So you see, they cannot stand on illegality. Abure responded to the issue of the matter in Benin, and then which exonerated him. And so therefore, if the originating summon indicated clearly, first, it hinges on the fact of Benin matter, originating summon, these are two competent court of jurisdictions. And then Abure responded and obeyed the particular issues of the Benin. You understand? So therefore, Apapa and the SLED group are doing a hatchet job. It's very clear. And let me say this.
Yeah.
This has led to a lot of series of things happening. Remember, yesterday I was in court. There was a small drama that happened. A young man who happened to be the son of Audu, former governor of Kogi State, approached us. And because I'm raising this particular issue because Apapa was trying to rail the road of religion and tribal sentiments, which is not fair. I am a Muslim. I am a Northerner. I'm from Kano. I'm the chief spokesman of Peter Obi. Nana Kazore is the Northerner. She comes from Jigawa. She represents Peter Obi. We speak on behalf of Peter Obi. So therefore, there's nothing of religious or tribal connection in our campaign. People who showed interest, who are ready to work, and based on competence were appointed. Anybody who shows interest into the campaign is appointed by Peter Obi. I have close discussions with Peter Obi, even this morning. So she should not play the card of tribal and religious sentiment. And we are aware that that is exactly some of the script that is being played by those who have paid him. Let me give you an example of what happened. This same young man approached us yesterday and said Obi called him And when Obi called him, he told him that he was at his workshop. And at his workshop, that is coming there to see him. Then all of a sudden, that Obi started speaking Igbo language. And when he started speaking Igbo language, and he told Obi that he was not an Igbo person, that Obi hung up on him. Do you know what happened? We approached His Excellency and said, this is an urgent matter that's happening. He said, please, please, keep that young man waiting for me. I'm coming after, we will meet with him one-on-one. And then he came out, and then he met the young man and said, sir, excuse me, did you say I called you? I don't even have your number. I have never called you before. How would I have called you and said I was? And the boy was angry that Obi is a tribal person. And then when Obi accorded him, he was like, he said, I just came back from the UK this morning, 3 a.m. 3 a.m. I was with Dele Momodu's in his birthday. How could I have called you? The guy was sober. These are some of the things that they are sending into the public in order to demarcate or demarcate Peter Obi. But Peter Obi is not a religious bigot. Neither is he a tribal person. Because if he was, he wouldn't have chosen the Baba Ahmed as his vice. And he entrusts him with a lot of things. Baba Audi is one of us. We have Metama as one of us from Kano State. We have a lot of Muslims and we love a lot of. I am one. As of today, if there are any tribe that is suffering from the decay in the system, we are the Northerners. And that was confirmed by Yari, former governor of Zamfara State, who was accorded the fact that the high level of poverty is in the north. And Zamfara was mentioned, Kano was mentioned, other states were mentioned. And Peter Obi said, I am going to turn around the fortune of the Northerners. But when he said that, what? They tried to draw the sentiment and drum the sentiment of tribal. And they said that Peter Obi was talking down. Is today at the moment now, can Northerners go to their farms? Can they travel from point A to point B?
Mr. Tanko, let me bring you back to...
these are facts.
Let me bring you back to the matter at hand. So you do not dispute the membership of Mr. Apapa, that he's a member of the Labour Party, or do you dispute that?
No, of course. He was a member. He was a member.
He was?
But when he started his shenanigans, he's already been queried and been queried by the leadership.
Let me get this straight. He was or he is a member?
You asked me that whether he was a member. Not at the moment anymore. Anybody that's trying to cause a disaffection within the party cannot be a member of the party.
So
cannot be.
Has he been expelled? Have you expelled him from the party?
There is a disciplinary committee already on this matter. Because normally you have to give some of it, but he has already been suspended by the party. So therefore, until when he's been given a chance of fair hearing to be invited, but because of the court cases going on, he will have been invited to the committee to come and explain himself of his action that is inimical and injurious to the interests of the Nigerian people, especially the Labour Party.
So until that decision is taken, he's still a member of the Labour Party, isn't he?
He is a suspended member.
Okay. Has there been any disciplinary body that has suspended him?
Of course there was. This announcement was made at a house of the whole in Asaba. I was there.
Okay.
And
but before that meeting in Asaba, was he the deputy national chairman of the Labour Party?
Of course he was. I just told you that he was. We have documents to prove that.
So at what point did he become, the persona non grata that, he's now been painted as?
When he planned a coup against the leadership of the party and breaking into the party's secretariat, leading a group of individuals. So obviously he became a non-personal.
Oh, it does appear that we're experiencing some technical issues. I hope that is resolved quickly. But it'll be very interesting to know, Mr. Tanko has presented some court documents which he says show proof that Mr. Apapa was playing on both sides of the divide. But it'll be very interesting to know at what point he became a persona non grata and to also know what other, okay, I understand that you're back now, but considering what was happening in courts, because it appears that there were multiple court cases. You've referred to the case in Benin City in Edo State. There was also a matter that was raised here in Abuja, a matter concerning forgery and conspiracy having to do with the Labour Party candidate for governorship position in Ebonyi State against Mr. Abure. That matter, I imagine, that is also still being, contended with in court. But at what point would you say that the distrust started around the person of Mr. Papa?
Look, there's nobody in the party that is indispensable when you are found to be wanting. If we have issues within the party and certain persons have presented a case in the court, or rather have accorded us within the leadership of the party and accused anybody, not even the chairman, anybody, the National Working Committee, including everybody, will sit around the table and deal with the matter. That didn't happen. What happened was that certain individuals decided to form themselves into a group and then work against the party. And let me make a clear position. I also have a document that will have shown you the signature of the issue of forgery. These two documents indicate clearly that the signatures are the same. The signatures are the same. I have in possession of that particular document, which I will mail to you. The first document indicates before you could become a candidate, the party will submit your name, and your document that did that have the same signature. There is the signature. I have it in my possession. I want to stand on the fact of the truth. So I found out that the same document was done. And accuse somebody of signature forgery is a particular matter in absentia. You have to give the honors of explaining or to clear. Abure was not being even given the opportunity to come and clear himself. But he cleared himself and showed the document. And that is why you can see him moving around. Issues of this particular matter have been discussed and in that case, that particular issue in Abuja does not reflect to issue. That case come to the issue of leadership of a party. There's the issue of the criminality that is being accused of, which he has proved intended person. Then the issue of leadership is completely different, which a court is an internal matter of the party. It has been proven by the Supreme Court.
Mr. Tanko, we appear to be losing you on some parts of the conversation. You know, your interventions are coming in will I say, in starts and stops. That's exactly what we're experiencing
can you hear me
now. I can hear you. I can hear you loud and clear.
And these are some of the problems that we want to solve. If Peter Obi had been pronounced the president, we wouldn't have had. You would have heard me clearly.
Let's go to Lagos now for more comments from my colleagues.
Okay.
I'm quite curious. Is he coming with a special ISP, internet service provider, maybe Peter Obi 5G or 6G? But you know what? You raised some very important issues, Mr. Yunusa Tanko, and I'll start with the one about the legal representation, because the lead counsel for the Labour Party also had represented the PDP's presidential candidate in the 2019 election. So will it be fair for people to say that the Labour, because your lead counsel had represented PDP at one point, now is representing Labour Party, and then you are playing a script from the PDP? Do you think that is a fair way to look at things? Because, as my colleague said, lawyers actually get different briefs anyway.
Of course, Kayode, I agree with you at one time. No. What we're having here is at the same time. He is a lead counsel in the petition, and at the same time,
Right. So I'm sorry, the audio keeps fluctuating. I'm not sure how well we can have this conversation, but would it be fair on the legal practitioner then to pin this down on him and make it look like he's partisan when you know that legal practitioners are bound by the code of their profession? Is that fair to now drag him into this and then pin partisanship on him?
Very well. Howdy. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, I said this happened at the same time. While he was a lead counsel in the matter against Peter Obi, at the same time he's representing those who are against Peter Obi. How do you correlate that? If it's as a one-time independent period of time, nobody will question it. I'm giving you two instances. I'm giving you a proof to show that it is coincidental happening at the same time.
All right. So
how can that be coincidence?
Speak to this point. You said that at this point there is no acting chairman from your own perspective, even though Mr. Akpakpa said he is. So if Mr. Abure has stepped aside, are you saying that there's now a vacuum in that position for the Labour Party?
There is no vacuum.
So who is acting as the national chairman?
Abure is the national chairman.
But you said he had stepped aside.
Let me explain. Let me explain. I said they were saying that if he to step aside, that would have been a decision. Okay? But at the moment now, oh my goodness.
Oh, it's okay.
Hello?
It looks like your device fell over.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Yeah. In this particular case, I am saying that Mr. Abure at this point is the chairman of the party. But because of the pending case in the court, he has given his administrative duties to Mrs. Ladi Ilia, who is acting administratively.
Okay, so he has indeed stepped aside as the national chairman of Labour Party and handed over to the person you talk about.
No, not handing over. His administrative duties has already been given so that he will not be found wanting. He is a lawyer, so you know.
If you say he's handing over his administrative duties, that means he's not performing the functions of the national chairman.
Which he has the right to do as a chairman.
Hence, he's not
Which he has the right to do as a chairman.
Yeah, no, Mr. Tanko, help us understand so we don't mix things up. You said he has handed over his administrative duties. Am I correct?
Yeah. So Mrs. Ladi Ilia.
So Mrs. Ladi Ilia is acting in his capacity now, or at least in his stead now.
Administratively.
So what activities, what kind of activity is he performing then?
Of course, he is performing the duty of a chairman, but at this moment, because there's a court issue hanging on the balance, in order not to be found wanting and say he's been accused of not respecting the court order, he, of course, gave his administrative duties and allowed Ms. Ilia to take over the administrative duties of the party.
Mr. Tanko, you're saying two different things. If he has stepped aside, say he has stepped aside. If he hasn't stepped aside, say he hasn't. I mean, I don't understand he has given the administrative duties and then it's a bit confusing. So I'd like us to be clear. But when Mr. Akpakpa said that, you know, he was rough-handled, did the Labour Party, or at least Mr. Obi, because he alleges that he was actually instigated by Mr. Abure and Mr. Obi, did they try to intervene and maybe speak for him? Because he said if not for the presence of media, he may have been lynched there. So does the Labour Party support what was done to Mr. Akpakpa yesterday?
We are Democrats, not at all. In fact, all of us have left the party, the confine of the court at the point in time when that happened. Peter Obi was not in the premises, Obure was not in the premises, I was not in the premises. There was none of us that were in the premises. We saw it the way you are seeing it on the media. I just told you that we had in the meeting, you can see if there's any one of us there, none of us were not there.
But Mr. Tanko, Mr. Akpakpa said only moments ago, you know, just before your own appearance, that he was confronted by Mr. Peter Obi and Mr. Oshutoko and was told categorically that he shouldn't speak with the press as as a representative of the Labour Party.
That was a complete lie. You can ask everybody. Peter Obi has left that particular place together with the national chairman, Julius Abure, my humble self, and a whole lot of us have left the vicinity of the court.
Is it also a lie? Is it also?
I'm sure your correspondents were there. they could easily confirm to you. You can even ask them right here on the air to say, was he really accosted by Peter Obi? Not at all.
Is it also a lie that he got intelligence through Mr. Arabambi that if he visited the court yesterday, that he would get the treatment that he deserved, that he had been told not to be in court by your presidential candidate?
I didn't know when one of them become a CIA or national intelligence officers that they got intelligence. They should tell us who was their intelligence officer, who told them anything, that anybody was trying to do anything to anybody. I just told you that a night before, there was a truce being arranged. Myself, I was in the meeting. Arabambi was at the meeting. And Anselm Arabe was at the meeting. And Bami, who called the meeting, was at the meeting. We all agreed that they will not present a papa, because that would have been saying that, okay, you are now the chairman. That will be kind of institutionalizing that particular leadership of a faction group. And we also said that Abure already, in honesty, Abure right from the beginning did not even present himself in the court. The first appearance was represented by Obiora. The second appearance was represented by another person. At this particular meeting, we'll also agree that if all of us believe in Peter Obi's petition and we believe in his presidency quest, none of you should come out and challenge that particular situation. We all agree. And that we also agree that we should leave the principal to select who will represent the party, which happened. And then Mrs. Dudu, the women leader, stood up. But then because they needed to justify what they are doing, they still raised up issues.
But Mr. Tanko, Mr. Akpakpa has challenged your faction of the party repeatedly to present evidence that he's playing the script of the All Progressives Congress. He in fact says if anyone has proof that he collected 500 million naira has been touted, that he should present it. So besides this double representation of this senior advocate of Nigeria for the APC and Mr. Akpakpa that you're quoting, what proof do you have that he has been induced by the APC to scuttle the chances of your presidential candidate at the Presidential Election Tribunal and destabilize the party?
My brother Arabambi has been seen together with Dapo Abiodun, and he has confirmed to me that they are brothers, and they have been working together. And so therefore sponsorship comes through from those particular places. So it's obvious, because if you really believe that you are fighting for the cause of Peter Obi, would you go to this particular length? Even you, if you ask you, would you try this? At this point in time when Nigeria is at the crossroad, when the Nigerian youth have decided that this is where they want to go to, and then you will now come to become a cog in the wheel of progress, and openly you will be saying that you are fighting your party, and then you tell me that it's not having somebody that is financing you? No, it's obvious.
But Mr. Tanko, that is not proof. That is not proof. That is not a receipt showing 500 million naira being paid to Mr. Akpakpa.
No. I did not thought. I don't even know it could even be more than that. I did not even give you.
If it is more than that, do you have
X amount of money?
Do you have a bank statement?
I told you. A bank statement? I am not there when they had their negotiation. So how could I have?
So you don't have proof that he has been induced?
No, I have proof. I have just given you a proof of what I know, which I can allude to. That they cannot sponsor a son, and they have a son representing them.
But
they have been seen to be
Mr. Tanko.
Excuse me. They have been seen to be in connivance and in discussion with APC. As of today, in Ogun State, we do not have candidates. That was where Arabambi comes from. And we will dig deep to give you a document if we have one to show you whether there was a monetary transaction. That's what you are. But at the moment now, these are the proof that we have. And we're showing it publicly.
Well, we have to thank you so much for your time, Mr. Eunice Tanko. But I want to ask you, how do you then think this will be resolved? The case, the matter in court now has now been moved to May the 19th, from what we gather. Do you see this same drama playing out again in court?
First of all, like I told you, we made serious attempt to deal with alternative dispute resolution. In fact, if they had adhered to these particular discussions that we had prior, we would have had meetings with our principal yesterday. A meeting was scheduled for 6 p.m. with councils of elders who want to mediate the matter. But because now they now destined that particular agreement, that meeting could not hold. But now what we have to resolve to is the issue of the courts. And then if they have come to a discussion and within them and think that there is a best option that they think we are ready for discussion to take care of certain issues. But then it is not negotiable for us not to follow the dictates and the positions of the constitution of the party. That will be determined by the court of law. And we are ready to go all the hog because we are Democrats.
All right then, Mr. Yunusa Tanko, thank you so much for speaking with us. He's the Chief Spokesperson, Labour Party Presidential Campaign Council.
Thank you very much for listening.
All right, we'll take a break now. We'll be back shortly to discuss yet another matter. In just a moment, please stay with us.
Heartburn and indigestion? Try Just Eat. My recommendation for the past 26 years, Just Eat. Reliable remedy for heartburn, indigestion, flatulence, and acidity.
We had a number of IT companies at that time, but most of them were essentially focused on, just like we say it in the industry, moving boxes, and we felt there was need to fill a gap where tech companies will also act as advisors and provide support, technical support to the several clients, out there in the industry who needed, such services from tech companies. And I think that was, the mindset that led us to, create Tennessee at that time.
Well, security is always top of any discussion in Nigeria. Yes, politics may be taking the shine, but security, or insecurity as the case may be, is also very much a present challenge with us in Nigeria. And as you can see, we're joined by Colonel Yomi Dari, who's former director of Nigeria Army Legal Services. He joins us virtually from Lagos this morning. Good morning, Colonel. Thank you for joining us on the program. I think a case in point... Right. I think a case in point... Good morning, sir. I think a case in point for a lot of Nigerians is that shocking attack in Anambra State on the U.S. consulate convoy. It was a shocker on different levels, really. Yes, this is something we've had to contend with, particularly in the southeast region. But it looked like there was a lull for some time, and then this sort of killings took place. Some will say it's even high profile. It's a diplomatic challenge we have on our hands. And I know you've talked about intelligence gathering in recent times, how this is vital to the fight against insecurity. But let's speak to this recent attack. When you saw the story, perhaps from the information you've gathered, what can you tell us?
Yeah, good morning once again, Taudi, and good morning, Nigerians. Well, like you said, I heard about this and I read about it. And the thing is that it's very unfortunate. I tell you straight away that this action is unacceptable and totally condemnable. But the truth be told, these are the signs of the times. It's quite unfortunate that this time around, it's the American embassy staff that fell victim. But ordinary Nigerians, day to day, people are, attacked, people are held hostages or kidnapped, and then they have to negotiate on their own, to pay ransoms and then to get their loved ones back. But it's so unfortunate that this time around, it is the American consulate staff that were involved, and hence the hue and cry all over the place. Having said that, as we speak, especially at this point in time when we are looking forward to a changeover, transition from one administration to the other, it's not the best for our nation. However, it is a clarion call on the incoming administration to wake up and face squarely, apart from the other issues that are confronting this nation. Security, like you rightly said, is one of the fundamental things, one of the major things that we need to give attention to. Most of the things that I have in my mind or in my head, I'm not going to say, in the open here. But however, for the consumption of the scouts and the people that work with the incoming administration, there is need to re-strategize.
Oh dear, we'll need to, I think, re-strategize again to get connection with Colonel Dare. He was talking about some of the important things for the security agencies, particularly the next administration, what they need to do. But there's still an administration, yes, less than 2 weeks to go, that is in office right now. So maybe we'll need to look at, okay, Colonel, I understand you're back. So if you can land on that point, you were talking about re-strategizing.
Yes. I was talking about re-strategizing. That is for the incoming administration. And I just heard you, as a rider to what I said earlier, talking about the present administration. Of course, we have an administration up until the eve of 28th of May. We still have an administration. It's only on the 29th of May that a new administration takes over. But notwithstanding, as we speak, I believe that both the present administration and the incoming administration are working in tandem, are working together on how things can be resolved. But I'm glad to note that as we speak, the president has directed that these culprits must be, taken wherever they hide themselves. But, well, as we all know, it has been a common knowledge that the Northeast area generally, the Northeast flank, has been very, very turbulent, and people have taken laws into their hands. So these are some of the things that we are talking about re-strategizing. The present, right. The incoming administration must go headlong in attacking, in dealing ruthlessly with these insurgents. I call them insurgents or dissidents. The militants there who have constituted themselves into an authority.
Well, Colonel, so let's try to break it down further. I'm glad you're bringing in, the security challenges across, the region. So let's talk more about the one that has been playing out in the Southeast. That area, the Atani or Samale Road in Anambra State is said to be notorious. In fact, said to be close to the base. Well, the police calls them hoodlums. It's said to be close to their base where, it looks like they have a base station from where they launch several attacks. So that place is notorious. And we've seen the Southeast governors deal with, well, we call them insurgents, some call them bandits, hoodlums, gunmen, whatever the term is. By the way, no one has claimed responsibility for this attack yet. But we've seen the governors trying to find ways around this. They started with Ebu Beagu. Well, the court made a pronouncement on that. So it looks like all of those different plans don't seem to be quite working. So what would you be advising that they do in collaboration, of course, with the federal government? We've seen some state governors saying we need to arm these, our local security groups with better firepower. So what would you say should be done decisively this time around?
Well, Kayode, for me, decisively, a state of emergency should be declared in the Southeast flank there. And the government, the military, and all other security forces must go all out to deal with these people. I mean, for crying out loud, the country is being held hostage on this flank, and that shouldn't be the case at all. That shouldn't be the case. People are afraid to go to their homes, you know, to the extent that some people will have to also seek solace or seek cover, you know, and probably pay their way through these people and abide by their rules. I don't think that should be the case. I don't think so. It is not acceptable. As we speak, you must have seen that even the Boko Haram, you know, they've been tamed, at least to a reasonable level. It's an ongoing thing. It's a work in progress. So for these insurgents in the southeast, I think they've had it for too long. They've had it for too long, and shouldn't be the case.
Well, Colonel Dari, before we begin to look at what should be done by the incoming administration, perhaps we should look at what has been done, particularly if we recall that ahead of the elections, you know, the Southeast became a hotbed of violence. It was even before that time. We saw the attack on, you know, security formations, even INEC offices. And this particular local government, as Kaudia has said earlier, was a hotbed of violence. And in fact, this particular attack has been attributed to activities of oil bunkerers, to, you know, remnants of youths involved in drug abuse and some forms of drug trafficking. So I know that we've talked over and again about how the military is overwhelmed, but can you assess, you know, the level of support military or formations have, you know, deployed in the Southeast, not just Anambra now, where this has happened, you know, to support the work of, you know, the police that are supposed to deal with internal insurrection in the first place? What's your assessment of the level of support that the military formations have offered, you know, to help check the unrest in the Southeast?
Yeah, thank you very much, Bukola. My take here is that, you know, there's no fix-it-all solution to the problem of this country. And when it comes to security, we've always said loud and clear that security is everybody's business. It's not even just for the military alone. So everyone must be interested. And I can tell you for free that I believe that, you know, this thing has not been addressed holistically enough by even the governors, because they can do more. They can do more than they have done or they are doing. And what are we talking about here? What is most important here is intelligence gathering. Intelligence gathering. We have shouted, we have spoken out loud and clear about the need for community policing. And these are part of the areas where community policing will really come to play, where we will get help. Because nobody, no straight person comes into any community without the people knowing. So what I'm saying here is that in most cases, you find out that these insurgents are even being aided and abetted by people. You know, who are behind these people? Who are behind these people? It's quite easy to get them. So we need to spend more. We need to pay more attention to intelligence gathering. You know, we need to pay more attention to intelligence gathering.
When you say it's easy to get them, pardon me for butting in. When you say it's easy to get them, it comes across as though you have an idea as to why it appears intractable, why it appears we've not been able to get as much results as we would have.
Exactly, Chamberlain. Exactly. The reason why I'm saying this is because they still have sympathizers. They still have people who go under the cover. I mean, it was, you recall during the last election here in Lagos State, you know, someone was alleged to have threatened to invite these insurgents from the southeast to Lagos, you know, for protection. So this is what we're saying. So some people still believe in their cause. So we have to change the orientation of those people. We have to get people to go right deep into them and collect intelligence and identify who these people are. Who these people are. As we speak, when they get to the round table, some people still express sympathy for these insurgents, you know? People express sympathy for them.
So could you tell us then, as we wind down on this, could you tell us how, because over time, we see this time and again, governments come, governments go, certain things work in a certain way, when certain governments, personalities are involved, perhaps depicting their character, and when that changes, it takes a similar narrative or similar shape. How do we, above all else, institutionalize some of these things so that they are stronger than individuals? We have very strong institutions and not just beholden to individuals.
Thank you very much. You see, the major problem we have in this country, and I say that without fear of any intimidation from any quarters. The problem that we have is that of leadership. Leadership, especially in most of these organizations, including the security organizations. So when we get it right, when we put a round peg in a round hole, then we'll be talking. It's just not a situation or a question of, kind of favoring or settling some of the boys. No, we need to, and that's what I'm talking about, especially for the incoming administration, to re-strategize. Let them know that there's a new sheriff in town. Let them know that it's not going to be business as usual. Any case of kidnapping, any case of insurgency should be ruthlessly dealt with. It's not a situation whereby you just hear that, oh, the people have been arrested, and then nothing is happening again. So it should be, a signal should be sent out loud and clear to the whole world. Not even only in Nigeria, loud and clear that, look, if you mess around, it's not going to be business as usual. So
leadership at what level right now are you looking at? Because we've seen the state governor speak very strongly on matters like this. We've heard even the president release the condolence message, expressing regret as to what has happened in Anambra. The security chiefs have, always seen how they can do what it is that they can do in places in the different places where we have insecurity. So precisely at what level are you speaking of this leadership?
Well, I'm speaking to leadership across the board. I'm speaking to leadership across the board, right from the top. Security agency, all the heads. Like we say, there's a common saying in the military that there are no bad soldiers, but bad leaders, bad officers. So let's start. Let's start. Let it not be business as usual. Let it not be business as usual. Any case of insurgents, any case of kidnapping should be ruthlessly dealt with. That is my take here.
All right, then. Thank you very much indeed, Colonel Yomi Dare, former Director, Army Legal Services. Well, that is for that. But do we have any messages, guys? I'm not sure I can see any at the moment. All right, there you go, then. So that is it. We do thank you all for watching. We'll see you again tomorrow. I'm Chamberlain Oso.
Well, thank you so much for watching. I'm Malkwe Yusuf.
Well, it appears that the mails have come in, but do we have time to take them, Coyote?
You want to get me in trouble? How would I say no to that? Of course.
Okay, so we have time to take some mails. Let's begin with this one from Honorable Ademola Alaladi. He says, the attack on the U.S. consulate convoy is condemnable in its entirety, and the perpetrators of the dastardly act should be apprehended and brought to book. Very unfortunate that they have hit the U.S. consulate, and the present administration must act quickly.
So this next one is about Labour Party politics. Enakena says, Labour Party seems to be mismanaging the goodwill of millions of Nigerians that have invested their time and resources into making the party the Nigeria third force to become the sanely working people's party, the party of Atalakawas, which means the masses, the party that must exemplify its commitment, its mundane principles and ethical values to become voiceless people's party. Peter Obi and party leaders must sort out this looming self-destruct button, which is on autopilot, and this can be pugnacious and pernicious politically.
Profound thoughts there. And this one comes from Festus at Akimboyewa. He says, the mayhem we saw yesterday involving LP members is embarrassing. They caused so much public nuisance, outraging public decency and public order. order offense. The police must not ignore these offenses. The CCTV is there to assist them. Well, we thank you very much for your mails and keep them coming as the conversation continues online. From this side, thank you for sharing your morning with us. I am Bukola Koka.
I'm Kayode Okikilo. Have a fantastic day ahead.
It's a sign of the times. A reflection of conversations from the streets to the halls.
Interesting collection you have here. Thank you.
That get to the walls. If they could talk, see and hear the limitless creative.
So I think the moral of it is that when you make a vow, you must ensure that you fulfill it.
On Art House. From the predictable to the unpredictable.